Live sport on Saturday morning feels like a treat, doesn't it? All the action from the Crucible now on BBC Two. Day 2 of the Snooker World Championship.
Good morning, hello and welcome to day 2 of the Betfred World Snooker Championship. And what a difference 24 hours makes. Following the announcement from the Prime Minister yesterday that no pilot sports events will now have an audience, we come to you live from an empty Crucible theatre. But that announcement actually happened during the morning session yesterday when the reigning world champion Judd Trump was attempting to fend off the Crucible curse. That being that no first-time champion has ever returned the following season to successfully defend the title. But it all got off to a rocky start against the 2018 UK Championship semi-finalist Tom Ford, who raced off to an early 3-0 lead. In fact, it was 5-2 at one stage, ending the morning session at 5-4. But the evening session was a totally different story. Trump found his form. In fact, he won 6 of the last 9 frames.
If he misses this, it's all over. It's all over. And he's conceded. And an excellent win for the defending champion. He was put to the test, but he prevails in the end. Judd Trump, the defending champion, goes into the next round. He defeats Tom Ford by 10 frames to 8.
It was a very stressful game, sort of very, very tiring. I certainly haven't played that sort of under that kind of pressure for a while, and Tom obviously had to get through qualifying, so he was sort of more match fit than me, and sort of very tiring day, very stressful when you're behind like that and battling the whole way. So very happy to have got through that game and sort of super excited to still be in the tournament. A few days off now, I can sit at home, enjoy it, stress-free, watch a few people under it and come back up in a few days and go again.
Well, go on, he'll get to. But Joe, I tell you what, Tom Ford made it scary early on.
Yeah, Tom played really well yesterday, put Judd under a lot of pressure, but I think it was good for Judd. He come through that, showed his temperament, showed his class in the end, and come through a very, very good match.
And a 140 break as well. Kudos to him there. But in terms of Trump really found his form and fantastic century of centuries.
Yeah, I think that's important for Judd in this tournament, get that monkey off his back. You know, it's been playing him a little bit the last couple of events. I think he's been thinking about it, so to get that out of the way, and now he can fully focus on defending his title.
The second man ever to do that after Neil Robertson. In terms of, you mentioned defending his title, do you think it's something that he's going to have his eye on today?
Oh, without a doubt. I think that's a real good test for Judd. You know, he'd be glad to have come through that. He could have easily had an easier opponent, won 10-1, which wouldn't really set him up for the tournament. That's really set him up. He's got his game in good shape, and I think he's going to go a long way.
So the Crucible curse could end in 2020. So that's Trump safely through to the second round, where he'll be joining, not playing against, though, Karen Wilson, courtesy of the Anthony Hamilton withdrawal. But plenty more action on the bays for you today. Well, round 1, which means 10 frames, is the target for all. 12th in the world, David Gilbert begins his Crucible campaign against Norway's Kurt Maflin. The 2015 world champion Stuart Bingham is edging out Crucible debutant Ashley Carter 5 frames to 4. More from that very shortly. The 4 times world champion John Higgins faces former finalist Matthew Stevens. The 2019 UK champion Ding Junhui continues his battle against veteran Mark King, currently 5-4. Karen Wilson gets a bye into the second round, so only one match this evening, where the 4 times Crucible king Mark Williams trails our very own Alan McManus 5 frames to 4. And speaking of the 49-year-old Alan McManus, he's enjoying his 21st Crucible campaign. Mark Williams, his 22nd. But the same can't be said for local boy Ash Lee Carty, because for him, 2020 is his debut.
I'm terrible at interviews. The last 2 months have probably been the most successful part of my career so far. It's always a dream to play at the Crucible. You know, I don't live far, I live in Rotherham. I don't think anyone from Sheffield's ever played at the Crucible. So for me, I practice in Sheffield as well. So, you know, it's a great achievement for me. It's a great achievement for where I live and Rotherham as well. I've got a lot of local support. I'm sure they'll give me as much support as they can. But, you know, I'm going to enjoy the experience. You only make your debut once. so I'm going to enjoy that, but I'm there to win the game, and I will be trying my hardest to concentrate on the job that I'm there to do. There's no pressure on me going to the Crucible. You know, I just want to enjoy it and see how I handle the occasion. I'm going to be nervous. There'll be a few butterflies tingling. You know, I work with my coach, Chris Emery. We work on how to handle things like that, how to keep calm. So I'm sure that'll work in my favour.
Well, I think it's safe to say it's been an impressive debut for Ashley, getting his first century in frame 7, by the way, hopefully the first of many here at the Crucible. Well, he trails the former world champion by only 1 frame. Well, let's see how he fares today, because it's time for the action to get underway for our second day of snooker. So we hand over to our MC for the introductions. Who's backstage? It's Rob the Talker Walker.
Good morning, everybody. Normally at this time, we'd have at least 750 people front of house in the famous Crucible Arena, desperate for the action to start. We all know we haven't got a crowd, but maybe if we've learned anything in the last 3 months, it's to be grateful for what we have got, not pine for what's missing. And behind me, we have 4 world-class players, all battling to join Judd Trump and Kyron Wilson in the last 16 of the sport's showpiece occasion. Our first player has been here before, but not for 5 years. Let's make sure we give them the entrance their talents and efforts deserve. So here comes a man back for a second Crucible appearance after an excellent win over Joe O'Connor and Matthew Selt at the qualifiers. 3 times a ranking event semi-finalist, including this season's Riga Masters, flying the flag for Norway, Kurt the Viking Mafflin. Love the wave there from Kurt. And his opponent, a player now firmly established in the top 16. He had us all in tears after that emotional, amazing run to the semis 15 months ago. Emerging for a 6th Crucible campaign, the Tamworth Massive won't be roaring, but they will be watching. He's anything but faithless, Dave Gilbert. And on table 2, we have a young player midway through a memorable Crucible debut. From 4-2 down yesterday, he showed his class with a nerveless century to get right back in touch. Without doubt, this is the biggest session of snooker of his life. The pride of Yorkshire, he's volcanic Ash Carty.
All the best, Ashley. Have a good game.
And his opponents, a player returning to the scene of his greatest triumph 5 years ago. And in January, he added a second Triple Crown to his collection at Ali Pali. He's the reigning Masters champion, the pride of Essex, Stuart Ball Run Bingham.
Have a good game.
Well, if you'd like to watch the David Gilbert-Kurt Mafflin match, that's available on the red button. All matches are available, by the way, on the BBC Sport website. We'll be focusing on Bingham Carty, and to talk us through this one, it's a good morning to our commentary team of Ken Doherty and John Parrott.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, very good morning, everybody. Welcome
Ashley
to this
Carty.
first round encounter. Stuart Bingham, 2015 champion, taking on the debutant, the local lad, Ashley Carty. Delighted to be joined by former world champion himself, a man of much experience in the cauldron of the Crucible Theatre, John Parrott. Interesting matchup, John, and particularly with the score as well. You know, Ashley Carty debuting
but has handled himself very, very well in that first session.
Yeah, and we've got the interesting factor, of course, as we were given the news yesterday, there won't be any audience allowed into the auditorium, so will that work in Ashley's favour, because he's not getting the usual Crucible experience, which all adds up into the melting pot that is here at Sheffield. Maybe, just maybe, that might suit him a little better. We'll find out.
Do you think that they'd be disappointed with that? Because they really want, you know, on your first time at the Crucible, you want to have that atmosphere, you want to have that crowd so close to you, because that's all part of the World Championship, isn't it?
Of course, Ken. You know, and you can hear the people generally breathing on the front row when you play in this place. But there it is, the auditorium, totally empty. Great shame that, you know, we can't have people in, but these are challenging times and we have to do the right thing. Abide by governmental rule. But it's, yeah, it'll be disappointing of him coming here and not getting the full experience, but he's got a match to win.
Yeah. And the World Championship, of course, will still mean the same thing at the end of the 17 days, when one person will be lifting that beautiful trophy aloft.
Foul, the miss.
Yes, and the not inconsiderable £500,000 first prize, which is, that'll focus your mind. You forget about the crowd if you think about 500,000 as the first prize.
Yeah, that'll help you through the lockdown, wouldn't it? He had some good wins, Ashley Carty, in the qualifiers. Beat Robert Milkins to qualify, but also beat Jimmy Robertson, former European champion.
Yeah, it was interesting watching his interview as well, pre-match, that, you know, he'll have his head screwed on if he's been working with Chris Henry. Chris knows his way around. He's working on the psychological side with quite a few golfers on tour as well now, so he'll have a good match temperament. Chris will have sorted that out for him, as well as his technical nuances that he needs to work on. But yeah, those results don't really surprise me in the qualifiers. There's lots and lots of good players.
One.
Stewart, to me, yesterday looked like he needed the run out. He looked like one of those horses, Ken, that needed a run.
Yeah.
He just had to come out and play in the auditorium again. He was at, you know, pot success was in the 80% yesterday, but there's quite a few balls missed in this opening session. We were keeping our eye on it. He just looked like he needed to have a session out in the auditorium and get back to normal. So I'm expecting better today.
Yeah, maybe a little bit ring rusty across a lot of the players. Stewart wasn't one of those who played in the Tour Championship finals, but certainly played in the Championship League. So maybe just a little bit rusty. Normally coming into the World Championship, you know, they're very, very busy, the players, with lots of tournaments. But this year, of course, has been very, very different. Tricky black this into the left corner pocket. Oh, played that very well. Well, I say tricky. He made that look like it was over the hole. Played that very confidently indeed.
I felt sorry for you there, Ken, because to be honest with you, that is really tricky. And he's just absolutely pured that. It was a fantastic shot.
15.
Well, not the. Would like that cue ball down a little bit lower on the black for better angle to split the pack from this. You see it, it's not. Yeah, you see, he had to force it there. And it was a bit careless on that red. Should have been a lot lower on the black. It would have been a straightforward split of the reds, but he had to force it in. We saw the back arm going a little bit there, trying to use that extra bit of power through the cue ball offline.
Can be quite nervy affairs for the top seeds, these opening rounds. One of these matches you just want to desperately get over. And you saw it with Judd Trump yesterday, just sneaking through 10-8 with Tom Ford. You know, Judd admitted he was very nervous in it, and quite rightly so. Biggest prize in our sport, and you want to be involved. And he can sit at home for the next few days, Judd, and watch everybody else sweat. Oh,
one.
Good shot from Stewart, dug that one out, although, saying that, if he thought it was a certainty, he may have played better position.
Yeah, I was hoping to be on the yellow, just Could have played a little bit harder. Not taking a chance of the green into the middle pocket.
Should bring him one.
Yeah, good shot that. A lot better than it looked. These really fine cloths when you play a roll up to a bore colour. It's difficult to judge. Most people err on the side of over-hitting it just to make sure they don't leave the cue ball short, don't
I'm
they?
guilty. I'm guilty of that. Not one of my favourite shots, those rolled up behind a ball colour. Very delicate. Well, you could be leaving this red into the centre pocket. And maybe one into the corner.
Well, if Stuart can just drop this red in and come back and manage to stay on the black, it's a pretty decent chance. There's a few reds that are in potable positions.
Yeah, he's just got to be very careful, hasn't he, with the cue, that when he pushes it through, and also when he takes it back, he doesn't clip any of those reds in the pack. Now he's got to be careful when he takes the cue back.
One.
Take it back in a straight line. He's managed to do that. And nicely on the black as well. And as you said, John, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 open reds there. Played superbly well, didn't he, down at the Masters in Alexandra Palace. That wonderful final against Ali Carter back in January. Seems a long time ago now.
9.
But what a wonderful final it was. 7-5 down, eventually won 10-8 and kept his highest break to the last frame of that final.
Yeah, when he gets going, he's a proper scorer.
16.
He's taken very good players to knock him out in World Championships as well. And good players like John Higgins have beaten him here.
17.
Somebody called Ken Doherty beat him here once as well. But it's taken really good players. Yeah, it's taken good players to knock him out. It's he's very capable. Pal of mine went to an exhibition the year before he won the championship, Ken, just before he came here, and I think he said he had 7 centuries and a maximum in an exhibition.
24.
So you know you're hitting the ball all right when that happens.
Must have been a good game of darts. He's had 454 career centuries, 147 6 times. That's quite a lot.
25.
Oh, he didn't hit that cue ball hard enough. Wanted to have a bit more of a straighter angle on this pink. Good pot and good cue ball. Now one more chance to go into the pack of reds. 53 in the lead, but still 83 remaining on. You've got to pot this red, get a nice angle on the black and try and bring 1 or 2 more reds out into the open to secure this frame.
I think it's a little bit like the shot earlier in the frame where he didn't quite get an angle on the black. He may have come pretty straight again. Don't know, might be able to force just something out of it. Well, yeah, there's a little bit more angle in this one, but he's just having a look through this cue. Just wants to try and stun this and force the end red out. Played the screw shot in the end and, well, trusting to look a little bit more that way rather than stunning up, but maybe on one.
I'm not sure whether that red that he's close to with the cue ball, will it go into the right centre pocket? Looks like he's shaping up that it does. Yeah, good pot.
40.
And a nice little kiss on the black, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the frame winner, that shot. Lovely control. Nice little flick on the black, but the red was straight in the centre of the pocket.
So 62 points ahead, 67 remaining. Needs this black to go 69 ahead with 67 remaining. So doesn't want to be taking too many chances. Looks like he may be going up and down the table for these reds, but make sure the black first. Oh, he's played this well. Good shot. Nicely played.
48.
Yeah, had a lovely margin for error there, Ken, didn't he? Playing it that way. As long as he missed the green, he was always virtually guaranteed to have a look at a pot.
Yeah, that will stop his opponent coming back to the table, but I don't think he's finished just yet.
Yeah, good point you make there as well. I think it's very important in these matches, Ken, certainly over 17 days, that when you've got a chance to really finish the frame off, you do it. You're not using any more mental petrol. You know, I see loads of times players will think they've got frame ball over with and then get a little bit lax with the next shot, and then they've got 20 minutes of snookers to get out of. So get the frame over with properly, get it out the way, and rack them up for the next one.
Yeah, good point, because those type of frames can become quite taxing, can't they, over the longer sessions. You want to try and
54.
conserve as much energy as you have, because the mental energy can drain you physically as well. You need to have plenty in reserves.
Yeah, I mean, if you spoke to Kyron Wilson and he said, oh, you know, I prefer to be out there and pot a few balls, trust me, he wouldn't. He's sitting on the couch having a nice cup of coffee watching everybody else, and he's got 4 matches to win to be champion of the world, not 5.
Yeah.
62.
And with the best of 25, you'll soon warm up.
Absolutely. Good start this for Stuart Bingham this morning. Already on a break of 69. Possible century. As I said, he's one of the top scorers in the game. 454 career centuries. Not many ahead of him. Didn't play that cannon too good, but he's still okay. But when he gets going, John, he's a nice player to watch, and he's got nice touch, and he's got plenty cue power behind him as well.
Yeah, he's a lovely touch in amongst the balls, and certainly knows how to make breaks, that's for sure.
77.
Very heavy scorer. And a nice lad to boot, Ken, isn't he? One of the best is Bingo.
I remember him coming up to the snooker club in Ilford when he was just 16, 17, just got his driver's license and got his new little car, and used to come all the way from Basildon up to practice in Ilford with myself or Ronnie O'Sullivan or sometimes Eugene Hughes when he was there. Absolutely loved it, and all these years on, he's still loving it.
84.
Yeah, and he's probably what you'd consider a late developer, really, wasn't he? He was around a fair old few years before he became, you know, a proper top-class player. Almost at the point of being called journeyman, which is something you don't like to use, but certainly, like a fine wine, he's got better with age.
Yeah, and I think he was the journeyman until he won that Australian Open down in Bendigo a few years ago, and that sort of
91.
propelled him into the limelight and gave him a taste of what it's all about. Got on the winners' rostrum, and a couple of years later he was world champion.
96.
Now, pink for the century. Just come far enough he can reach it. It's there, and wonderful
102.
start to this second session of the first round. Nice century to boot. Stuart Bingham makes a wonderful 109 in the very first frame and extends his lead over the Rotherham professional Ashley Carty by 6 frames to 4.
Yeah. And no applause, obviously, from the empty auditorium, Ken, so we gave him a clap in the commentary box instead. But,
well, that's the thing they're missing, isn't it, John? Because the Crucible crowd, they'd love a century. They love, big breaks, maximums, of course, but the centuries, and it does really. It's a wonderful feeling when you're walking back to your chair. When you're getting clapped with a century, you've just come off the table. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen now.
Yeah, and they have the old cards with the ton up on, don't they? So all the younger spectators in here are holding them above their heads when the century break goes in. But now a wonderful, wonderful theatre. Brilliant, like our Wembley for playing snooker in. And unfortunately this year, different circumstances, and the players will just get on with it, Ken.
Do you remember your first time when you played here?
Oh, it's a long time ago now. I'm 56. I'm getting on a bit, Ken. But I can't really remember it. But I remember first time coming as a spectator, 14 years of age, and watching and being absolutely hooked by the place immediately, because it's got
11.
an atmosphere like nowhere else.
Stuart Bingham to break.
It certainly has. Race to 10 for a place in the second round. Best of 25s, of course, that will be. Now, how can Ashley Carty respond? Not a bad break off from Stuart Bingham. Ashley Carty won't be taking on this red down the left-hand side of the table. Going to play a containing safety shot. Red up the ball, cue ball. Trying to get it tight to this top cushion. Oh, I like this shot. Very aggressive safety shot. And if the cue ball had been tight to the ball cushion, it would have been even better. But he's still got his opponent in a little bit of difficulty. He's got to find a gap here, Stuart.
Yeah, that was the perfect example of an attacking safety shot. Got to be very careful. You get a thin contact on this red that Stuart's playing here. And he has the cue ball. If that red over the corner is lined up with the green, that's a pretty good shot. And it is. Great reply. A little bit fortunate, Ken.
Yeah, I think you're delighted as a player just to find that the angle to get back the ball, because it was a very fine contact on that red. But if you're an opponent like Ashley Carty coming to the table, you feel a little bit aggrieved there. That is, Stuart got a bit of luck covering that full ball, this red, because he knew he was cutting it towards that corner pocket, Stuart, and had to rely on a ball colour and a little bit of luck, and he certainly got it. Possible long pot, maybe forced into taking this, Ashley Carty.
I mean, there's one shot there where he could dump the cue ball on the top cushion. That was an absolute monster to take on, that was, and that wasn't particularly well cued. He hit right across that. He knew the enormity of that shot. Did have one shot he could have played, pushed the red up and down and left the cue ball on the top cushion there, so maybe didn't quite suss that situation out as much, but anyway, his decision to be taking that long red on.
It's unusual the way he cues up, isn't he, Ashley Carty? Just doesn't cue up with the cue right below his chin. It's almost to his right cheek. Obviously very dominant on the right hand side of his right eye.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the exact opposite of a player who used to come from the Midlands, a great player who won Pot Black many years ago, called Graham Miles. You can see how right-eyed he is there, so basically his cues to the side of his chin. Graham Miles used to be totally the opposite side. He was very left-eyed. So a player will certainly have one dominant eye, but that's pretty pronounced. Ashley Carty's.
Nine.
Excellent. That was really well cued with the rest. Plenty of work on the cue ball there. If he just stuns that in, he's too low. So that was really well played. Very good shot.
16.
No messing about, straight into the pack. Worked out perfectly. And that little, well, you have to say, run of the ball when he lined up the cue ball with the green to stop him actually potting the red on the right hand side should pay dividends, because these balls are spread beautifully.
$24. 25.
I don't want to preempt anything here, John, but this is 4 reds, 4 blacks. And the way the reds are spread, sure it will be. Thinking of a very big break already. Win the frame first, that's the priority.
33.
But the reds are positioned in a very nice way indeed.
Yeah, even the two that's near the top cushion aren't terrible because they're very close to the black spot, so they could be moved. But first he'll be taking the loose reds out of the way. And as you say, get the frame over with. If he's on the one in the middle, that's perfect.
40.
He's over around the cue ball there. He was playing for those 2 reds just around the pink spot. Just enough for this red to take on into the left middle.
41.
A little bit straight on the black. May have to come off the side cushion. A little bit of right hand side.
I think you may see a few more players taking a couple of chances because there's an additional bonus this year, Ken.
Yeah, I think it's 40,000 for a 147 at this year's Betfred World Championship.
That's not to be sniffed at, so don't blame him having a go.
Yeah, Tom Ford had a great chance, didn't he, yesterday?
Oh, what
against
a chance he had.
Judd Trump. Yeah, he got to. Well, he was on the 13th black, wasn't he?
49.
That's okay. He doesn't have to take the red in the middle. He can take the red
56.
with the rest here into this bottom left-hand corner pocket. There's times like this that you do get a bit excited now as a player. Your heart is racing. It's one of those breaks, isn't it, John, that you do get very, very excited, and it never gets too old, does it? Like trying to make a maximum in a big tournament, and particularly here at the World Championship.
No. Well, this is one of those instances where having a crowd or not having a crowd won't make any difference, because he'll be feeling the butterflies because he knows what's on offer here.
But it's one of those places, the Crucible, that when you're on like 5 reds or 5 reds, 5 blacks, the crowd, you can sense the excitement even in the crowd because they're so close to you.
It's usually because idiots like us in the commentary box have already told them that and put the block the player.
Yeah.
So they have 3 pieces in. The ones who aren't aware soon become aware. But this is a
well, I've already good chance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the worst.
$65.
got a nice area to play in here. Come up table, he can land on at least 2 of the reds if he wants, one in the middle or one in the opposite corner to the black. Just that's the area to play in. So progressing very nicely.
72.
And ultimately it is going to be about those 2 reds that are near the top cushion, you would think.
73.
Now, has he got the angle here? Will he take a chance this time? Maybe not. Thought he was a bit straighter than that, Ken.
Yeah, he has got a nice angle, I thought, just to flick the nearest red to the black, but he's not going to take it on this occasion. He needs to bounce up a little bit, doesn't want to be... Wants a little angle on this red. If he's straight, okay, you could screw back. But
81.
yeah, the problem is screwing back. That you got to get really into the cue ball. He needed an angle on that red, didn't he?
It's just starting to get a little tricky, this. He's just lost the cue ball the last couple of shots, so it's making it a little bit more difficult than it was. He's still in there, but it's not as nice a chance as it was 3 or 4 shots ago.
That's a lovely shot. Well, he played that to perfection. Couldn't have played that any better.
Now, these, as we well know, are not easy.
Great shot. It's in there. And he's got a nice angle. He can play on that difficult red now, the one that's up near the left centre. That's what he's looking at, because he's got a wonderful angle to do that.
Only problem for him here is the yellow ball. It's the only problem. If he goes up and uses the angles and goes inside the red and comes back that way.
I might play it for the right centre, John, here. He's got plenty, big area to play in too. Yeah, play it for the right centre, and if he goes too far, it'll be okay for the corner.
Yep. Better shot than mine.
96.
He's gone too far for the right centre, but he has it down into this bottom right corner pocket. There's a lot more margin for error. Oh, such a shame. Such a shame for Stuart Bingham. It was a great attempt, wasn't it? Excellent attempt, but it wasn't to be. But still, he wins the frame and extends his lead now over Ashley Carty to 7 frames to 4.
So Stuart Bingham extends his lead 7 frames to 4. How lovely would that have been to see a 147 this morning?
Yeah, we've had a couple of attempts, haven't we, so far? You know, we're getting close, but that was a good attempt from Stuart. It was always going to be tricky with that red up in ball, but get a fair go at it, and it's something Stuart always looks to do, especially in practice.
I think your mic's not working. If you wouldn't mind just repeating that answer again, mate. That was really interesting what you were saying.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of attempts already so far this championship, and it's one I'm not surprised Stuart went for it, because he does it all the time in practice. You know, straight off the bat, he's always looking to make a maximum whenever the opportunity is there.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how we get on in the 12th frame. The action's getting back underway, and fingers crossed we might have another 147.
Yeah, what a chance that was. I actually thought Stuart was going to do it there, Ken. It was, well, here it is. I fancied him for it. Really didn't have to do anything with the cue ball. It was just the pot of the red, wasn't it? But ultimately it was the pressure of it.
Yeah, he just overhit it for the right centre, didn't he? So Ashley Carty hasn't really had a good chance at all so far this morning. And he won't be enamoured by that break off. Don't think he can play on the black here, so maybe up and down for the blue into left centre.
One.
Nothing worse is they're just breaking off that and just gifting an opponent a chance like that straight away. Especially when you've lost the first 2 frames of the session. So, a disappointing break off.
Six.
May be able to pot this red and stun into the red just to the right of the black.
Seven.
Yeah, wonderful. And a lovely angle as well. He's flying at the moment. Everything center of the pocket, John, and nice angle on this black now to split the reds.
Yeah, one of those shots here, Ken, where you can certainly give it a bit of pace if you want. Well, he looks like he may be just flicking something. Interesting. Will that bottom red go on the pack? Must do.
14.
Well, it's hard to believe he played that shot. I thought he had a perfect angle to split into the pack, trying to play a delicate little shot instead of using all the power that he has in that cue of his. Possible plant, is it? But he's going to refuse it.
I mean, he can blow me over with a feather. He didn't smash into the reds there.
Stuart
I mean, I know
14.
players are trying to guarantee to be on the red, but the way they were positioned there, he had to go in there with pace. I just don't understand that shot at all. If the bottom red behind the pack doesn't go, what's he played? No, answers on a postcard. Stuart doesn't think that just slipping off the side of the pack is the right thing to do, so just getting the long rest out. I'm going to play a clip off the red closest to the cue ball. Well, we spoke about myself earlier coming to the Crucible for the first time. Ken, what about you?
Yeah, well, very
You
similar.
remember?
Yeah, I do. It's a very similar story to your own 14-year-old. And I won a little competition back in Dublin for under 16s and a trip to the Crucible. And that was 1985. And I sat up in the chair just above where the two lads are sitting now. I was watching Steve Davis against Neil Foles. And the next time I came to the Crucible, I was sitting in the chair next to Steve Davis. He was my very first opponent and my debut to the Crucible. Yeah.
Wow, what a player to play against.
Yeah, and I was like a rabbit in the headlights, 4-0 down in about a half an hour, and got myself together. Ended up 5-4 up at the end of the session and ended up losing 10-8. But a wonderful experience. You never forget your first time to the Crucible, do you?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when you're packing playing. I forget the matches there, but I remember just coming through the doors first time. It's just like the first time you ever go to an evening football match, isn't it? And the floodlights are on. It was a similar situation. Hasn't really settled down today, Ashley. Just can't quite get going with any part of it. Safety's not getting near the ball cushion. Admittedly, he's not had many potting opportunities. And they're good shots, by the way, those across the table with that cueing. It's very easy to flick a bit aside on those, so nicely played from Stuart again. I'd be very surprised if he makes a mess of his position on this visit. A very simple cannon, just above if he wants. Well, he could screw back, which is even better. So this is a lovely chance. Removal of this red will enable the other one to be potted, so expect a few points coming.
9.
Yeah, I don't know what he had for breakfast, John, but it's certainly looking good. Completely different player to yesterday. Snooker wasn't the best from what I saw anyway, and what I was told from some of the lads that were commentating on it yesterday, Stephen Hendry in particular. But today has been,
16.
this morning has been absolutely top quality so far from Stuart Bingham.
Make no mistake, by the way, if he keeps playing properly, he's a runner in this year's championship. Of that, there's no doubt. The pedigree to win it, Masters champion, that brings added confidence as well. And the way he scores, the way he break bills, he can be a match for anybody, can Stuart.
Totally agree.
But it just looks to me like there was rust removal from yesterday's session. He just needed a run out.
Yeah, no matter how many times you've played here, you still do feel the butterflies out there. There's no doubt about that.
I can honestly say, for one of the things I genuinely do miss is being 9-9 in the first round. There's no buzz like it, especially if you know you're going to, being in that final frame when you know you're just looking for one chance. I had numerous occasions in the first round, I had 9 each. There's nothing quite like playing. And then, of course, that curtain behind, or the petition, as we should say, when that comes up and you're the only table out there as well, that all adds to it. There's something very special about that, and they're one of the few things about playing I do miss. I don't miss the 7 hours every day, Ken.
33.
Stuart Bingham continuing to go about his business.
40.
Very well indeed. Already 54 points to the good. Red and black
41.
62. I'm going to need a couple more reds after this black.
Not really been involved this morning. Couple of loose safeties and a poor break off, and that's about it. Stuart got a bit lucky with that safety he played in the game before, covering with the green, but you don't call him ball run for nothing, Ken.
48. $49.
Nice angle on the black now. Just go into the gap of the 4 reds here. Yeah. Go right through the gap. Could have been a little bit kinder, but he's still okay.
56.
Yeah, certainly hitting the ball wonderfully well at the moment, Stuart. Quite agree, we could have been a bit more fortunate there. So this is a slightly trickier red he's taken into a blind pocket. But no problem.
57.
Just decided to make sure that he knocked that red in. 71 ahead with 67 on, so I don't know, got a choice here. I'd be probably tempted just to push a ball colour onto the side cushion, some maybe, or if he wants to just take the lead.
Should be on 57.
Didn't do that. Interesting one, that, Ken. I might just push the green on the side cushion there.
Yeah, could have, or just maybe try to make sure the brown for the extra 4 points into the middle. He wouldn't have been leaving anything that he missed. So only 1 4-point snooker now. He's got to cover this red over this bottom right hand corner pocket, and I don't think he's done that.
One.
He's been dominated at the minute, is Ashley. He's second best in all departments at the moment. Very tough to stop somebody of Stuart's capabilities when they get on a roll like this. All part of the learning curve.
7.
Stuart seems to be hitting the ball as well as he's done for a while now, so tough on him. Goes without saying, it's imperative he wins the next frame before mid-session, because if it's 9-4, it's virtually game over.
Should be on 14 and the frame.
So Ashley Carty's had enough. Stuart Bingham been very impressive this morning. Strides ahead again with another frame, and he leads by 8 frames to 4.
Well, Ashley yet to get off the mark there, and Joe, obviously must be very frustrating to see the kind of big breaks that we're seeing Stuart there. What should be going through Ashley's head right now? How should he be approaching the next frame?
He's got to somehow try and stay positive. You know, he's yet to pot a ball this morning, and the Crucible can be a really lonely place when things aren't going well, and he's sat in that chair watching Stuart play faultless snooker, so he's got to try and stay positive and just try and get a foothold in the match somehow and get on the table and get some table time, start potting some balls.
And when you are sat there, he looks quite despondent, actually. Obviously, he's not massively experienced. Is it a tough situation to be there?
Well, definitely, yeah, because he would have started out this morning feeling pretty good about things. You know, 5-4 down after his first session at the Crucible. He'd have been feeling pretty confident about today, but straight away, Stuart sort of dashed all them dreams away, and he'll be feeling pretty poor out there at the moment.
And I guess without the crowd there, it does make a bit of a difference. It makes it more intense, I imagine.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to sort of feed off, really. He's just sitting there watching Stuart pot all the balls. You know, if the crowd was there, I'm sure they'd be geeing him up and really giving him that extra little buzz that he needs right now, but they're not, and he's got to do it all himself, and Stuart's not giving him anything.
But is this part of the learning process as a player, that you're almost hardening the steel for later on in his career?
Oh, definitely. You know, whatever happens today, Ashley's got to take the positives. He's had a great World Championship. He's experienced the Crucible, which is something every player dreams of doing. So it will definitely set him in good stead for next season and beyond.
And were he to walk away with a loss today, what do you think he'd take as a positive in terms of a success? Do you think sort of maintaining the deficit that he's got, or will he be looking to actually take Stuart out?
No, he'll still believe he can win the match. You know, there's a long way to go. You've still got to get over the line. Stuart still needs another 3 frames today. But no, I think no matter what happens today, if he was to go on and lose this match 10-4, I think knowing Ash like I do, I think he'll take the positives out of this and be really looking forward to next season.
Because you do know Ash, as you mentioned, what sort of personality has he got off the table?
He's pretty quiet, but he seems like he's got that sort of steely reserve in him. You know, he believes in himself, and I think he thinks he can do things in this game. So, yeah, I think he's got a good attitude towards snooker.
It will be very interesting to see how he gets on. Hopefully he can reduce that deficit. All the rest of luck, Ashley.
Yeah, so all Ashley can do really is just play 1 frame at a time, like you do. Just forget the scoreboard now and just try and keep out the unforced errors and just try as hard as you can. And you never know, sometimes these things turn round. But this is a massive frame if he wants to stay in this year's championship. Yeah, a little bit of a problem. That red being in open play in the middle of the table is causing Stuart a bit of grief. Can't come off the side cushion and just drop into the pack because of it. So he's trying to come in off the top cushion and play to the two reds. Way short there. No surprise. I'll be going back for another attempt. I expect this one to be a lot closer.
Actually.
Yeah, I just drew a line up there, and that was the original line. He was trying to drop onto those two reds just around the black spot, but now he's looking and possibly missing those two reds and maybe going into the pack. So it'd be interesting to see what he's going to do here. But those two reds around the black spot, it looks a little bit wide. Oh, very close indeed. Yeah, just a little bit wide. So he's got a little bit closer to the right centre pocket, I think, John, with the cue ball.
Yeah, he did get very close there, but I don't think the red's pop. I don't think the red goes past the black. He's having a look to see if it might go in. Sort of cushion first, then black, but it's very tight. What do you think?
It might do with the pace, yeah. Just off the cushion. He won't be able to stay on the black, so he'll be going back up for blue here, but cushion first off the black. Yeah, good shot.
1.
Oh, he doesn't want the red to stop the blue. Oh, how unlucky is that?
Goodness me, he's cursed. I mean, that is crazy. When you're struggling for a bit of table time, he's played an excellent shot there and off the black. It was a lot better than it looked. He's come down and the red's flicked and got in front of the blue. Good pot. But of course, another one needed.
Four. Five.
Very good. Good cueing that was. I have to say, he's not having a very good run of the ball this morning. Okay, he hasn't had much table time, but even in this break, he's had 2 bits of luck and they've both been bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he could fully expect to be on something easier than this.
It was a good aggressive shot as well, wasn't it? He's unlucky, as you said. It could have been a lot straighter on this red. It would have been perfect. Needs another good pot now. Yeah, very difficult, that shot.
Actually, Kelty, 20.
A lot of pressure on it as well.
This game, honestly, it'd drive you mad. He's obviously struggling for a bit of table time. Splits the reds up, so a really good positive, and left himself an absolute horrible shot. So it's not really going for him. I'm surprised that didn't go in, actually, to be honest with you.
It was very close. Have a look at this again. First one. Nearly went in, and it nearly went in again.
He'll have to work on that one. It's not quite working.
Maybe a possible pot here. Maybe more importantly, thinking about a good length of cue ball back to safety, but there is a pot at there at the bottom of the pack, bottom of those reds just below the pink. A good attempt. He's got a good cue ball, but he may have left a red to this bottom right hand corner pocket. Ashley Carty just having a look at the angle, just about on it, but this requires good cueing, and when you're A4 down, it's even tougher. Yeah, not easy that. And the way he played it to get onto the pink made it even more difficult at that pace.
Certainly quite a positive way of playing it. Well, a few of the players might have been just playing that with a bit more force and taking the cue ball back down to a gap, but decided he was full-blooded for the pink. Don't blame him. Unfortunately, he may be sitting down for a little bit. Not totally straightforward, this break, though, of course. Stewart gets on the pink eventually. When he pots it, that'll get slightly more awkward. So could be a few blues involved.
Four.
Ideally, he'd love to get that black back on its spot, but
5.
don't know whether that's in the plan just yet. If you can make a break on blues and pinks, and it's a little easier doing so, then carry on with those.
Yeah, he's got plenty of reds to work with, hasn't he, as well? Pink may be potable. He's just having a quick look into the right centre pocket. So
yeah,
he could just drop this red in and hold for the pink.
$11.
Yeah, that was an important ball to get on Ken, wasn't it? Because once he pots this pink, removing that red will enable the pink to go in the corner pocket, I would think. So it was pretty well sussed out by Stewart.
Well, that was clever, wasn't it?
Yep.
Holding the pink spot so the pink goes on the black spot, highest available, of course. But
17.
very delicate little shot there, just to screw it back only an inch onto the pink spot there. It's quite a clever little shot.
I do think the red on the left he's looking at now is a good one to remove. That guarantees the pink, when it gets respotted, will go into this corner. So he's taken these in a lovely order. It's been really well played, this has. He's now opened up the pink spot fully for when it goes back on to that particular pocket. Been nicely constructed, this.
And
24.
Red. The bottom of those 4 underneath the pink pots. He's also got another one here into this bottom right corner pocket. Looking very good at the moment, Stuart. He's got a nice angle on the pink. He can pot the pink and just disturb those 3 reds below the pink, bring some into play. Perfect. This is a match-winning chance now.
31.
I was completely wrong with my initial assessment, saying there'd be lots of blues, Ken, but there's been lots of pinks, and this has been a beautifully constructed little break. Could easily have gone wrong with this, but this is really lovely the way he's played these.
$38. $39. 44.
Yeah, playing for a choice of 2 reds there. If he came up short, he'd have this one with the rest. Went a couple of inches more with the cue ball, he'd have the red into the left corner pocket. They play on the pink here. Oh,
45.
needed to hit that. Maybe disappointed. Could have played for the pink into the left centre as well.
You know what? I think that's what the problem was. I think he was in 2 minds there playing that. He hadn't quite made his mind up which way he was doing it and ended up quitting on it slightly. Shame, because that was beautifully constructed, that little break.
Yellow ball.
It's the first poor shot in it.
Well, how's that for confidence, John?
Absolutely fabulous.
I don't know whether you and I would have taken that yellow on. We would have been maybe putting the yellow safe, 27-point lead.
Yeah.
Put the yellow safe, turn the screw on your opponent. It shows you how confident Stuart Bingham is. Excellent pot. And great position as well. What a shot that was.
$48.
He actually tried to develop one of those 2 reds that were on the right hand side of the cushion there. That's why you hit that so hard. Didn't need to. 30-point lead. So needs another good pot here to keep the break going. Red below the pink.
$53.
Well, everything going into the middle of the pocket at the moment for Stuart Bingham. He's in fine fettle, as they say.
This break's been better than the century. It really has. Okay, lost the cue ball to play the yellow, but the initial point of this break was just wonderfully played. Great example of the skill of these boys, because that was far from easy, and he's on this red, I think. And when the chance was presented himself, Ken, I didn't think he'd be getting this many.
No. Excellent break indeed. Yeah, and he'd probably be more pleased with this break than either of the bigger breaks that he's made. 109, 96. Just very close to this red. He's got to be careful he doesn't play a little push here. Yeah. Wasn't on it as he thought, and he's got away with it again, has he? He certainly has.
Don't worry, Ashley, you won't be on that one, son. It's the way it's going in this frame for him. He has just been, as the snooker gods do, not giving him anything. Absolutely guaranteed he wouldn't be on that red. Surely he's got to be on this. Oh, well, there you go. Just when it's all going wrong and it can't get any worse, it just did. What a fluke that was.
You can't believe that.
Honestly, this game would drive you mad. Completely mishit the safety. You can only laugh about it, because what else can you do? Absolutely butchered the safety shot and fluked it in the middle. It's not fair, this game.
It can be so cruel, can't it, at times? We've all been there. And we just needed the pink, and that's why he's just made sure of it. 47 ahead with 43 remain. You've got to feel sorry for poor Ashley Carty. Nothing has gone right from this morning, apart from Stuart Bingham playing so well, but getting all the little nudges and that fluke has really compounded the issue. That's what happens though, John, isn't it? When you've seen it so many times, when you're playing well, everything seems to be going well for you as well.
Yep, it's the strangest game. Anyway, 47, completely out of it. It's on the black.
1.
It's only the one snooker to tie, so I'll be more than happy takes the blue.
He's got to take the black here, surely.
Yeah. Doesn't really make any sense to take that. Well, all will be revealed, but now he needs the 2 snookers.
No.
Ashley Carty, 6.
Red creeps behind the brown, it won't be too bad. But if he had got that cue ball tight behind the pink, that would have been a good snooker. But he'll probably snooker him back, Stuart. Played well this morning, must be said. Good shot. I'm not quite sure it's a full ball snooker, maybe just a little swerve. Oh, yeah, a tiny little swerve. You can just clip the left-hand side of the red.
Balls aren't really great for snookers either, Ken, are they, at the moment? Usually, you know, when you're playing for them, you like that black to be on its spot. That's always an area you can be looking to get in behind. Well, that should be the end of that.
Yeah, it was a difficult shot, wasn't it? Trying to avoid the double kiss, the red on the way back. And I mean, you don't see players conceding now. It's sort of a sportsman thing to let your opponent come to the table.
One.
Well, he'll be conceding now when Stuart, should he miss this yellow, he might just play the safety shot. Yeah, he might just go for the blue. But it's been a good session of snooker from Stuart Bingham this morning. Had the possible chance at a maximum, missed that red on 96.
6.
Had 109 in the very first frame, his 455th of his career. Ashley Carty, I'm sure, will concede.
Yeah.
And it's 9-4 to the former champion Stuart Bingham. A wonderful session of snooker from him. He's one frame away for a place in the second round. He leads the Rotherham professional Ashley Carty by 9 frames to 4.
Well, we started the session 5-4, and at the mid-session interval, 9-4 puts a totally different complexion on that match altogether now.
Yeah, Stuart stamped his authority. He's done what the seeded, more experienced player needs to do against the rookie. He's really imposed himself, and he's made Ash, pretty nervous out there, and he's just dominated the table.
You often hear Stephen Hendry make that statement about imposing yourself on the match. What does that actually look like, and how do you go about doing that? Because Stuart's obviously done it extremely well.
Well, you only do it by controlling the table, controlling the scoring, keeping your opponent sat in his chair. And Stuart would have been looking to do that yesterday. It didn't work out that way for him. He struggled a little bit, but today he's come out and he's really fired and he's stamped his authority on the match.
We've seen fantastic breaks, 90 plus, a century break, even a 147 attempt.
Yeah, Stuart, you know, he's renowned for his break building. He's one of the leading century break makers in the game. He's always looking to make the big breaks, especially the 147s. And, you know, he's a prolific scorer, and that's what's won him so many titles over the years.
And as you were watching that 147, you said it was going to be a difficult one by virtue of the baulk red.
Yeah, you want the reds nicely situated around the pink and black spot if you can, but this one was always going to be a tester for him, and unfortunately this is where he broke down. But it was a great attempt nonetheless.
I'd have absolutely loved to have seen this got in. We all just let out an enormous sigh when he managed to miss that. He's frustrated. He's obviously an ambitious man, and you can see a sort of a nod of approval there from Ashley. But he also got the run of the balls as well.
Well, that, you know, from a fellow snooker player, that never surprises us. You know, he's known as ball run. He's had the run of the ball for years and years and years. But no, all jokes aside, that's the way snooker seems to work. You know, the person playing the best snooker, dominating the table, tends to get the run of the ball. Very unfair, but it seems the way it always seems to work out.
Well, that's on table 2. On table 1 was Kurt Mafflin, who's been taking on Dave Gilbert. Dave Gilbert is number 12 in the world, and we've been really assessing his style of play, and that's been done by none other than the 6-time world champion Steve Davis and the man who happens to be warming up just over there, Alan Angles McManus.
Dave Gilbert, for me, is quite a fascinating snooker player in as much as I didn't play him much towards the end of my career. I haven't seen him play a great deal. We know full well that the general public who watch snooker haven't seen a lot of Dave Gilbert. But all of a sudden, he's forced his way in there. So it must be exciting times for him.
Yeah, he's a late developer, but he's one of those guys I've long thought he's potentially a top player. A couple of things have changed. He's got a newfound technique. He used to be very loose, long, languid, the technical sense, but now I think I'm actually a lot like Sean Murphy. Things have got a lot more compact. He's discovered a technique from somewhere that he's now got faith in, and probably through that chiefly, he's thought, I can do this, because he's got the talent. I mean, he's the only guy I think I've ever played, and he actually never missed a shot in a best of 9. He beat me 5-0. He never missed one shot, and I thought, boy, this guy is... And this was maybe 8-9 years ago, and I thought, why is he not doing a lot better? Now he is, and as I say, he's got that technique behind him that he can, confidence with results, and I think he's starting to believe that he can maybe win a big tournament. He probably is renowned these days as the best player not to win a ranking event, and for good reason.
His temperament is improved no end, and you definitely need that in today's game.
Yeah, he used to let himself down. He would say the same thing. He used to be called the angry farmer. I don't think he is these days. But yeah, he used to get too hot under the collar, which obviously you can't do at this game. So he's changed all that. He's became a better player because of it. The other thing is he believes that, I'm a top player. I can be in the company of all the other guys and hold my own. I should be a seed at the Crucible. I should be in the Masters. When you believe it and you've got the results behind you to sort of prove it, then he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, I think, for a long time to come. Dave Gilbert, brilliant player.
Well, fantastic insight by 2 of the best snooker brains in the game. Well, Dave has been playing Kurt Mafflin on table 1, and so we join the action in the first frame with Gilbert leading 1-0 with your commentators of Dennis Taylor and Dave Farrer.
Yeah, such is the standard, though. And didn't even make the final qualifying round this year. Elliot Slessor rather swept him away by 6 frames to 1. But he can watch on with pride here, at least.
Oh, there is the talent. Elliot from the northeast, Whitley Bay, plays at the snooker centre there, and he does put some practice hours in, I can tell you. Good early test of his cueing here. Very good. Excellent. Have to be pinpoint with your cue action on a shot like that. But this is not a gimme by any means here. Yeah, he's cueing them pretty smoothly at the moment. Couldn't do much with the cue ball there because he was so close to the cushion.
8. Nine.
Kurt Mafflin's second appearance at the Crucible. His first was suitably dramatic at this stage. Lost 10-9 in the end to Mark Selby. Experience is useful for him, certainly here.
He's got a superb cue action, has Kurt. Always admired his cue action.
14.
Got that nice deliberate pause before delivering the cue. There's not a lot can go wrong with his style. They played on 3 occasions and Dave Gilbert's come out on top on all 3, so big test for this Londoner now living in Oslo.
$20. 21.
There will always be nerves, of course, so to get into a rhythm like this early, a real benefit for Kurt Mafflin here. Something of a child prodigy, and there is a sense from expert onlookers that he's got better and better with age. 36 years of age now.
Just come up a little bit short here. So it all depends on the cannon. When potting this red, he's going to cannon into those 4 reds. If he could just slide past them with a little bit of topspin, which he's managed to do very nicely. Brought them into play. Great chance to go on now and score heavily in this opening frame. Keep talking about a number of players that keep their head still, and this is one of them. 36. No matter how hard he delivers the cue, he still manages to keep so still on the shot.
37.
Ding Zhongwei, another player that is excellent at that. No movement.
And Dave Gilbert for now having to sit and watch.
45. $52. $53.
Just showing you why he managed to beat Matt Selt 10-1 in the last qualifying round to get here. I mean, Matt's a terrific player, but never seen that result coming, 10-1, but this man's capable of doing that. Oh, He decelerated a little bit on that one. He's come up maybe a good
60.
12 inches short of where he intended to be, just. Yeah, that's the first little slip up in this effort. It's a tricky one now into the middle. Good recovery.
61.
That's okay if he comes up short, but it's gone past the green, and this table looks to be absolutely flying, which the players like. The quicker the better when you're cueing well. And there's an indication of how fast the table is. Look where the whites carried on to. Should have been on the 2 reds next to the pink, but it really is playing beautifully.
Kurt 64 ahead, just 67 remaining. Good pot here. Do the job for him in this opening frame.
$70.
Highest break here. Sorry, Dennis, his highest break here, 96. Wonder if that's in the back of his mind. It'd be a nice start, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he tried to bring a red into play there and just missed it, Dave.
$76.
Can he bring it into play this time? It doesn't have to do. He could drop in behind it there, but looking at that angle, might just be able to land on one. Yeah, he managed the cannon this time, played it beautifully.
84.
Can't do much about that, Dave.
$85.
I think he can just screw in behind. He'd love to get about 12 inches from the red there. Would make it easier. Just come up a little bit
90.
short, so he's going to need the rest. He's going to make the century break.
$91.
Finished a bit straight on the black, but he's got so much cue power if he wanted to. But the pink's there. That's much easier to get onto the yellow.
There is the record crucible break
97.
for him. Wants a little more, I think.
99.
Yeah, a bit of a milestone to make your first century at the Crucible. And there it is.
102.
Unfortunately, no crowd in today, which is a shame. Good atmosphere yesterday with about just under 300 in, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, your eyes and ears need to get used to the new normal in sport, I'm afraid. Would have been a nice,
111.
knowledgeable burst of applause. But he'll be smiling inside, Kurt Mafflin.
117.
Because what an impressive start this has been.
124 in a frame, Kurt Mafflin.
A break of 124 from Kurt Mafflin in his second Crucible appearance, and he takes the lead over David Gilbert.
So that made it 1-0 to Mafflin, although Gilbert responded with a break of 92 to level things. Now, Kurt then went on to win the next two, making it 3-1 going into the mid-session interval. If you'd like to continue watching that, you can do so on the red button on the BBC Sport website and indeed on BBC iPlayer. Extensive snooker coverage right the way across the next 16 days. And Joe, I have to ask, according to the sort of the rule book, the form book, you'd possibly think Dave Gilbert would have started a little bit better, especially looking back to last year when he semi-finaled. How much confidence would that performance then give him for 2020?
Yeah, he's definitely fed off that run last year. He's had a very good season, good solid season. But I think coming into this tournament, I think there's a bit more pressure on Dave this year, with the expectation on his shoulders, on himself and other people, have him down as one of potential winners this year. Whereas last year, you know, he wasn't talked about at all in that sort of bracket. So extra pressure on Dave this year, and I think it's going to be a tough first round match for him.
It'll be a very interesting one to watch, and we'll be sure to keep an eye out for that one. I have to ask Joe, seeing a lot of the guys here, we've got Alan here, John behind us, a lot of them especially etiquette when it comes to their cues. How special was your cue to you?
Yeah, well, it's an extension of your arm. You know, we've heard that before, but it is, you know, you couldn't just go in the club and pick up any cue and play to the level you play at, no matter what standard you are. You get a special bond with that cue. Some players can mix and match their cues quite often. I personally have only ever had 2 cues my whole life. So if I was to lose my cue, you know, I don't know what I'd do. I think I'd have to just get another job, I think. But it's one of them things.
Well, touching on that, it's now time to find out a little bit about Stuart Bingham and his special relationship with his cue.
I remember having an Argos, about a £21 cue, 2-piece. I think it's like similar to Dennis Taylor's one. And then I had that literally for about a month, and then I was picking, obviously, potting a few balls. So then I remember getting a Riley Burwatt, Dennis Taylor 2-piece. And I remember getting the case with the combination locks on it and getting all the gear, no idea sort of thing. And I remember it cost my mum and dad about £60, and sort of I think I've still got it at home somewhere. I've got a cue creator cue. The design sort of like a American pool. Just wanted something different, and I designed, my favourite colour is blue, so I've got like a blue sort of splice, say like an American pool. I've just had a bit of weight put in it. It was down to about 16.5. I think I've had about an ounce put into it. It's obviously brass ferrule. It's got a sort of a black, it's like a carbon fibre ring underneath the ferrule, and I feel like it gives me extra sort of spin and extra touch, sort of a bit more reaction out of the ball. And yeah, I'm on these until the sort of cue gives up on me, then I'll try and keep it going. Every time you get off the plane, you're sort of like, please come through. I think once I've had it sort of turn up on the next flight, we're going to China and that, but luckily, touch wood, I've had my cue, so every time except once.
Well, Stuart's cue's certainly doing the business today, and it's all to do now for Ashley Carty. Can the comeback kid do what he does best? It's time to rejoin the action with our commentary team of Ken Doherty and John Parrott.
Thank you very much, Radzi. Players just back into the auditorium. It's always interesting listening to those little pieces about the cues and what people prefer.
Thank you.
Very fickle snooker players, and it seems strange that a player could say put an ounce extra weight in his cue. I mean, if you went for an ounce of ham in the butcher's shop, it doesn't weigh anything, but when you put it into a snooker cue, Ken, you know straight away, don't you?
Well, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? Makes a big difference. So Ashley Carty, you'd have to feel sorry for him this morning a little bit. He's had to face a barrage of breaks from Stuart Bingham, and of course he's had no luck whatsoever. 57, 58, 96, and of course that century of 109 the first frame. And by all accounts, John, coming into the second session, particularly the way he played in the first session, Ashley Carty held himself together very, very well. He would have been really looking forward to this morning, felt he had a really good chance, but it just hasn't worked out that way.
No, and now, of course, he's really struggling. But it's a funny old game, it really is. It's not even close for that. I wouldn't have missed one of those in the qualifiers, that's for sure, coming through. But he's been on a funny session this morning. Stuart Bingham has played very well. He's had no luck at all himself. And there's the pot success in the first session of these two players, 83 and 84. And in the second session, there's the difference, 92 for Stuart. He stepped it up, and Ashley's down at 55. So that in itself tells the story. But this is all part and parcel of becoming a top-class player.
Why?
It's facing adversity and handling it better the second time. Great experience for him to get through and qualify. I mean, the buzz he must have had when he came through, knowing full well he was going to play at the Crucible, must have been fantastic for him. But this is all part and parcel of learning. I spent many a year myself when I turned professional, being tied to the ball cushion by Cliff Thorburns and Dennis Taylors and Terry Griffiths and all the experienced players. Going to stop you playing when you turn professional. You've got to find a way to combat it.
Five.
Yeah, good training ground though. They prepare you well playing against players of that ilk, and I'm sure whatever happens today, Ashley Carthy has had a great experience in this World Championship. Got some good wins under his belt, got his highest check of his career, and lots to look forward to for him for the new season, of course, as well.
And the other thing as well, Ken, is players look at you in a different light then, don't they? You know, the players see that you've been doing well in the qualifiers, got to Sheffield. You know, all of a sudden you start to get yourself a little reputation as a good player, and it makes a difference. Players have a bit more fear of playing you. So it all adds up.
Oh, lovely angle on this black. You can free the black spot up here and still be on this red into the corner pocket. Oh, the cue ball has just held on the black spot. If it just had it been on the right hand side as we look, have a look at this. It's on the left hand side of the spot, but if that had been on the right hand side of the spot, he would have been okay.
Sorry, 13.
Yeah, I have to say it's a little bit of a mistake that, because if he hits the right hand red first there, he can't really hold that spot that much. He's trying to get the ultimate there, get the two reds out the way and land on the bottom one, but it hasn't worked out.
Should bring him 13.
Oh, what a flick. So he's I heard Joe Perry before the interval talking about ball run Bingham. He said he's always had a good run. He ain't kidding. Yeah, this little flick again.
Well, it's not bad. He'll settle for that. Could have done with that in the first couple of games. Trying to lay on this red on the top cushion.
Ooh.
Oh, very close, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Ashley, thank you.
Well, this is the angle. I'm trying to come off 3 cushions here. Just nestle on this red. It's all about pace here. A little bit
miss.
short.
Yeah, just difficult to judge at the moment because it's the second cushion that Stuart's coming off. Is just making the cue ball drop down, slide a little bit. Get it with these new cloths.
Yeah.
The first one's not too bad, but when it hits the second one, it drops down considerably with a bit of slide. See it again. Watch this now. This, well, good judgment in the end, and he worked out how much it was going to slide there, so he'll be happy with that. Took him 3 goes, mine, but he got there. Ever won a match from 9-4 down, Ken?
No, I remember playing in the qualifiers once. Never at the Crucible, but let me see. What have I won a match from? Was it 5 down? No, not from 9-4. Not in the first round, definitely.
No.
Got to 9. Got to 9 each.
In front, weren't you? That's why.
Got to 9 each. A few times.
Yeah, there hasn't been many in the history of snooker from 9-4 behind. There's been a couple at the Crucible with I think Nigel Bond and Cliff Thorburn was a monster. 9-2, yeah. That was a monster. You remember them because they're few and far between. That's a good shot. Should have him. Yeah, excellent.
He's had a lot of practice at that shot, hasn't he, in all fairness?
I was going to say, he's getting good at it now. Didn't need the 3 goes this time. Obviously didn't leave an angle with that because I'm pretty sure at 9-4 down, actually he might have been going for it if it was a natural to come on the black, so it wasn't. Got second prize there. Obviously wanted the cue ball a lot closer to the ball cushion, but this is awkward cueing. You could easily miss-hit this. Yep, nice and thin, which was the way to do it. That was a better shot than it looked. Very good. Had to avoid cannon in the red on the top cushion and the middle pocket jaw, so played that really well there. with a good length of cue ball too. Likewise, excellent return. Very good indeed. Very good.
Yeah, I must say I'm impressed with his safety. Well, this would be a good shot here. 4 cushions down for these 2 reds. Just near this top cushion here.
Foul, miss. Ashley Carty, 4. Yeah.
I just put a line up there, John. This is the angle he's trying to achieve with the cue ball. He's going to swing it off 3, possibly 4 cushions, maybe hitting the top cushion. Just trying to come up the back of these 2 reds here. Oh, this looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit short of pace again.
Foul, miss. Ashley Carty, 4.
But he's got a good line on it. So let's see if he can do it this time. Just adjust slightly. He's got to hit a little bit further off this left-hand side cushion where he's just bridging from. Yeah, this looks good this time. Is it hard enough though? Oh.
Foul, miss. Ashley Carty.
No, that's not going to help. Fourth attempt.
Yep, he had 3 goes earlier in the frame at 1. Now he's had 4 goes here. Tell you what, if Ash can get him in another one, Ken, and have 5 at the next one, he'll win the frame without potting the ball.
Yeah. 20 points and fouls so far.
Not really putting Stewart under any pressure with that particular shot. Needed to find the gap there and then the ball cushion. So it should be a nice easy return. Leaving the cue ball down the left hand side of the table, more towards the yellow, would be better for Stewart. Just block one side off for a return. And playing it this way and to that side, you can definitely see a couple of reds there, one behind the pink and one near the black. So there's no real trouble safety wise for Ash here. Certainly loves an attacking safety, Ken, that's for sure. So I've played a couple of them today.
Yeah, just disappointed hitting the brown there. Well, yeah, he's played some good aggressive safety shots. He's left this one though.
It's funny how the interval changed things, Ken. I mean, before the interval, he'd never have missed that the month of Sundays, would he? He was in full flow. A couple of chances already, but that one definitely would have been found in the middle of the pocket before the interval. So a chance to score. There's not many. Can he make a few?
Yeah, short of pace. Wanted a cue ball to travel another 6 or 8 inches, so you wouldn't need to use this implement.
6.
You can't really say that was unlucky because he had such a margin for error there. Tough pot, this.
Yeah, he's a tough pot and he's scrapping for position, isn't he, Ken?
12.
Well done. Now got the cue ball back in a more beneficial position. It's not been easy the start of this break.
$17.
It's one of those instances where you almost have the extended rest at its fullest length and the extension.
18.
But he's judged that very, very nicely. Nicely on the pink. He can pot the pink, cue ball off 2 cushions for those 2 reds there, just below the black near this top cushion. Come around to have a look at those now. Already a 25-point lead, so he's got a good chance to try and win the frame from this position.
$24. $25.
Good shot. Does the red pot.
31.
Just run through there. Can into the reds. Might be able to pot the red that's closest to the cushion of the 2 on the left, but not so sure the outside one pot. So could have come up nicer for him, that split. Yeah, there's my answer. So he's got to be the other red. Good shot.
32.
At last, a decent flick. So it's not been cue ball on a string in this break, but he's keeping it going. To his credit, circumstances, 9-4 down. Still has to be a little bit careful. Plenty of points on the table, of course, because Stuart's given a load of penalty points away in this frame. That's a nice shot.
$36. $37.
51 ahead, 75 remaining. Red colour red will
43.
be enough. It's a good break from Ashley Carty here. As I said, he's been frozen out this morning so far, but deserved to get his hand on the table and show us what he can do. And as I said, he played so well in the qualifiers, beating two very experienced players, Robert Milkins and Jimmy Robertson.
Fifth, 52. $53.
Yes, very good response this, and doing all he can possibly do. Ignore the scoreboard. Just play
60.
every single frame like it's the final one. And if you're good enough and you get a bit of help from your opponent, the landscape might just change. You never know.
61.
You've got to hang in there, keep on going. It reaches 61.
$68. $69.
Very good this, showing a bit of character.
Yeah, it just shows you what he can do given the chance.
75.
Be nice to make a century.
76.
Already made a century of 118 in the 7th frame. Oh, that's a shame.
83.
Well, wasn't to be a century, but
Carty, 83.
an excellent response from Ashley Carty. Lovely break of 83 that was. So he's still in there punching. Got it all to do, of course, but he's 9-5 down to Stuart Bingham. But he's still in there.
Well, we'll have to leave you there, but you can continue to watch the matches on BBC Sport website as well as the BBC iPlayer. Be sure to do that. We have exclusive coverage here at the BBC. Live snooker continues at 2:30, where the 4-times world champion John Higgins faces Matthew Stevens, and the 2019 UK champion Ding Junhui takes on the veteran Mark King. But we'll see you with Jason Mohammed at 1:15.